HP has been treating its premium Spectre line like fine jewelry for the last few years now, with an emphasis on flashy designs and thinness. They've looked good, especially for HP laptops. But now with the latest Spectre x360 13-inch, the company finally has an ultraportable that would look right at home alongside gold and diamond wear at the mall. In a word, it's stunning. HP finally modernized the x360 with vastly thinner screen bezels and a smaller footprint. It's a high point for the company, and together with Dell's XPS 13 2-in-1, the new x360 is a sign that PC makers are truly beginning to perfect their craft. I suppose I shouldn't be too surprised about how much progress HP has made with the Spectre though. Last year's leather-bound folio was also a major design triumph that truly stood apart from every other laptop on the market. The new Spectre x360 isn't a dramatic reinvention like the folio, but it builds on everything HP has been doing with the convertible since 2015. The first thing you'll notice about the Spectre x360 is that it's practically all screen. This revamped model features a 90% display-to-body ratio, compared to 78% last year. HP basically took a cleaver to the chunky bezels at the top and bottom of the 13.3-inch display, and it looks like the company took a scalpel to the side bezels, which are ever so slightly thinner. The result is a screen that dominates the laptop. It practically looks like it's hovering in the air. The rest of the x360's design complements that massive screen. Its metal case is honed to perfection, and its diamond-cut, angular edges help it stand apart from a sea of utilitarian laptops. Most of that look is carried over from last year's model, but still holds up today. The only glaring aesthetic issues are the prominent hinges, which allow you to fold the x360 into a tent formation or a large tablet. I get why it's necessary, but Dell's latest convertible showed that it's possible to hide those hinges a bit more while still being pretty flexible. It's a small nitpick, but it's something that distracts a bit from the Spectre's glorious screen. This year you can equip the x360 with either 1080p or 4K AMOLED touchscreens. I'm more intrigued by the AMOLED aspect of that premium upgrade. You can't really beat that contrast, but it'll also eat into your battery life. Our review unit was equipped with a 1080p screen, which was bold and bright enough for editing photos and streaming HDR video. I could tell it wasn't as bright as the XPS 13 2-in-1 though, which also features Dolby Vision HDR and a slightly taller 16:10 aspect ratio. HP managed to shrink down the Spectre x360 by 13% from last year. It now weighs 2.8 pounds, which is less than the MacBook Air and many other ultraportables. It's very compact, but unlike LG's Gram series, it also feels like a solid and well-built machine. HP also includes a sleek leather sleeve with the Spectre to protect it from the elements. I find that a bit unnecessary, but it fits with the premium aesthetic the company is going for, and at the very least it'll prevent the x360 from getting the nicks and scratches that can quickly make a new laptop seem weathered and old. The Spectre x360 also features a surprising amount of functionality for something so thin. There are 2 USB-C ports for charging and data, a drop-down USB-A connection for older devices, and even a microSD card slot. That means there's less of a reason to keep a dongle around with the x360, though you'll still need one for things like Ethernet and HDMI. Like last year, HP placed the power button and one USB-C port along the rear corner notches of the x360, which also helps it stand apart. It would have been nice to have one of those USB-C ports on the left of the machine though, so you could charge it from either side. There's also a super slim IR camera for Windows Hello face authentication at the top of the monitor. That's something we missed on the XPS 13 2-in-1, which only features a fingerprint sensor. The Spectre's camera is terribly grainy and blurry, unfortunately, but that's the price you pay for squeezing something into one of those tiny bezels. The x360 also has a fingerprint sensor, if you don't quite trust Windows face mapping biometrics yet. Thanks to that smaller frame, the x360 now features a wide edge-to-edge keyboard. Its larger keycaps are pretty luxurious, and I really appreciate just how deep the key travel is. It feels reminiscent of Microsoft's Surface lineup. This is one area where, for many people, HP has an advantage over Dell. While I got used to the XPS 13 2-in-1's fairly flat maglev keyboard, the Spectre x360 delivers the sort of typing experience PC enthusiasts crave. Its trackpad also feels very smooth and accurate, though I wish it was larger like Apple and Dell's latest premium devices. Thankfully, HP dumped the terrible Synaptics touchpad drivers from its last batch of machines, and added a precision driver this time around. That gives the touchpad a much more modern feel, and frankly it's something the company needed to do for years. As far as performance goes, the Spectre x360 delivers most of what we've seen from other laptops with Intel's 10th gen CPUs. It's plenty fast for daily tasks, even when I'm juggling dozens of tabs, Slack, and other apps. And Intel's Iris Plus graphics give it enough power to play a few games like Overwatch, although I had to lower the resolution of that game down to 720p to get anywhere near 60 FPS. That might not sound impressive, but it's a huge step forward from the weak integrated graphics Intel used to rely on. It's enough power for the x360 to play simpler and slower paced games well too, like Minecraft and Disco Elysium. The laptop did get a bit warm to the touch when I was playing games or doing anything demanding, and its fans are noticeable once they kick up. HP reworked its cooling design from last year, so at the very least it should be quieter than the last x360, which sometimes sounded a bit like an overeager jet engine. When you're not gaming, you can also expect to see some solid battery life. During our benchmark, which involves looping in HD video, it lasted for a healthy 14.5 hours, almost exactly the same as the XPS 13 convertible. The Spectre x360 13-inch starts at $1,000 at the time of this review, with an Intel 10th Gen Core i5 CPU, 8GB of RAM, and a 256GB SSD. Our review model goes for $1,200, which adds a more powerful i7 CPU and doubles that storage to 512GB. Those prices are a bit better than the XPS 13 2-in-1, which starts at $999 with a meager Core i3 CPU and 4GB of RAM. Matching that notebook up with HP's base specs will cost you $1,250. As usual, we recommend getting as much computer as you can from the start. So if you're going for the x360, be sure to spring for 16GB of RAM and 512GB of storage, which will run you $1,280 with the Core i7 processor. The revamped Spectre x360 feels like a realization of a dream for HP. It's one of the most stylish ultraportables we've ever seen without sacrificing power or usability. It's a stellar example of just how far HP and the PC industry as a whole has come from last year. Stay tuned to Engadget.com for more laptop reviews, and if you dug this video, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel.